Good morning. I'm Frank Muir, President and CEO of the Idaho Potato Commission. We welcome you to our annual Big Idaho Potato Harvest Meeting. Of course, this one is a bit different, just as everything else has been different for the past 9 months. We extend our appreciation to all those who have made this Zoom meeting possible and for your support in participating. On the bright side, the meeting will be much shorter than our traditional full-day schedule. It'll last about an hour. We'll first hear updates from Cam Quarles, CEO, National Potato Council, followed by Blair Richardson, CEO and President, Potatoes USA. I will then provide the annual IPC update and marketing plan for the 2021 crop year. Thank you again for joining us today.
Hi, I'm Cam Quarles, the CEO of the National Potato Council. Thanks very much for the opportunity to be part of this meeting. I enjoyed being with you all in November in person last year and wish we weren't remote this year. First, I'd like to thank Frank and the team there in Boise for adapting this meeting and all of the Commission's activities so effectively to this difficult situation. It's been a privilege working side by side with you all during this crisis. Though 2020 isn't over yet, looking back on it is almost like viewing two entirely separate worlds. One is pre-COVID, and the other is the world that we've been dealing with since the shutdown started. Pre-COVID, the potato industry generally was having a strong year. For NPC, we had a new team in place, and we were extremely proud to follow the largest potato expo ever with a highly successful Washington fly-in, outstanding 2020 leadership program, and strong kickoff to the Potato Leaf Foundation. As a new CEO, I was thrilled at the value our talented team was delivering for the industry. Then March happened, and the shutdowns. As the weeks went on, a predictable cascade of events occurred that threatened the livelihoods of farmers in Idaho and across the country. Without food service customers, the predicted backlogs and industry impact were staggering, both for you as farmers and also our team as advocates for you. I dealt with many disaster relief programs in my 20-plus years, but these COVID numbers had lots of extra zeros attached to them. To put an image in your minds, as we gathered the data to explain to USDA and Capitol Hill how big the backlog of potatoes would be, we determined that at its height, it could fill the United States Capitol 14 times over. In response, our industry rallied into action. NPC, IPC, and the other state organizations created a simple but effective plan to immediately provide relief. First, we had to push USDA to temporarily become our customer in the absence of the food service industry in order to clear out the growing backlog. Second, USDA needed to provide meaningful disaster relief to growers who were impacted in order to stabilize these family farms until the marketplace strengthened. One of the most important things that I'm very thankful for is Frank's wisdom in having such a strong policy professional in Pat Cole on his team. Pat's knowledge of the industry and his credibility with policymakers was essential in answering the vital questions that USDA and the congressional delegation were asking. His presence made a huge impact in the process and the results to date. Also, the way the Idaho congressional delegation worked together in pushing for relief for this industry was fantastic. The staff of Senators Risch and Crapo and Congressmen Simpson and Fulcher held numerous conference calls to ensure that their efforts could make a difference specifically for this industry. When the calls weren't enough, they traveled across the country at a moment's notice to meet with decision makers to get these programs in the right place. All of this focused teamwork generated results. USDA responded by providing both the largest surplus commodity purchase program in our industry's history and the largest direct payment disaster relief program for growers in our industry's history. Let me say that again. In the two priority areas that NPC, IPC, and the other state organizations identified back in early April, the federal government has responded to both with the largest relief programs in history. We believe these actions will keep us in the game as consumer demand strengthens both domestically and internationally. Though we aren't out of the crisis yet, I think that the challenges COVID forced upon us and our industry's response provide some optimism looking forward. In short, we aren't helpless to this crisis. The clear steps we took put us on a path to relief. What were those steps? First, when the potato industry was initially hit, we gathered information rapidly to allow us to take a clear-headed look at the facts we knew. Second, we also had experienced individuals to make some reasoned assumptions and developed an achievable strategy based on that information. Most importantly, we worked together as a strong team in relentlessly pursuing that strategy. Though COVID is the most immediate challenge we face today, it will not be the last crisis. Hopefully, the actions we took during these past few months can also be applied toward whatever comes at us in the future and with similar productive results. From the NPC team, thanks again to all the IPC commissioners and to Frank Muir, Pat Cole, Travis Blacker, and the rest of your fine professional team. It has been a privilege for me in my first year as CEO of NPC to be able to do challenging work with such a strong group of people. Together, I think we are reaching our goal of delivering meaningful results for this great industry. Good luck with the rest of the meeting, and I will gladly see you all next year in person. Thank you.
Thank you for including me this year in the virtual edition of the Big Idaho Harvest Meeting. While I certainly prefer being in Idaho with you in person, I suppose we are all adjusting our lives to adapt to this new world order and overcome the many challenges related to the ongoing global pandemic. This pandemic has forced massive changes to our personal and professional lives. It has also forced numerous adjustments throughout the programs and activities facilitated by Potatoes USA. It is remarkable how different our activities and interactions are today as compared to what they were during the Potatoes USA annual meeting in March. These changes were a necessary and appropriate reaction to the massive changes faced by the food service operators adapting to new rules and regulations and shifting consumer meal preferences to a home-prepared environment. It was critical that we shift with them and support their needs as they struggled with the chaotic environment. Fortunately for our industry, while many things are different today, demand is still very strong. Consumers still love potatoes, and the potato is once again at the top of the most favored vegetables list for consumers in the United States. In fact, we actually achieved some gains within the food service sector this year with potatoes now featured on 84% of all menus for the first time since this study has been conducted. Facing numerous restrictions and reduced opportunities, many restaurants simplified their menus, but they recognized the value of potatoes as a foundational part of the new, slimmer menus. And while not ideal for some varieties and sizes, this has been beneficial to our industry as a whole and should provide many opportunities once the food service sector begins to rebound. Likewise, our potatoes are the premier vegetable at retail, representing 22.4% of all vegetable pounds sold by grocery stores. This is important for our industry as we live through the changes and adjustments caused by the virus. After decades of watching our consumers spend more and more of their food dollars at food service operations, the pandemic did the one thing I said would never happen. This pandemic actually forced people to once again cook their own food in their own homes, and in a very dramatic fashion that will likely have a long-term impact on generations of consumers. Retail sales of all potato items, fresh, frozen, dehy, and chips, jumped rapidly as people across the globe recognized the value, the storability, and the versatility of potatoes. In the United States, retail sales of potatoes increased 15% on average this year as compared to the same 6-month period in 2019. Gains initially seen during the early days of the pandemic, while not at those extremes, have still held strong across the country. And our hope is that positive consumer experiences with potatoes today and increasing recognition of the nutritional value of potatoes will fundamentally change the buying habits of these new retail customers for years and years to come. Unfortunately, the gains at retail were offset by the 23% reduction of potato volume sold through the food service sectors during the same period and a 17% decrease in exports as initial shipments of frozen products slowed amid fears of the virus. We do see improvements now and are very optimistic about the future for these two markets. However, it will likely take time to recover some of our losses. In the early days of the pandemic, we quickly realized consumers needed information about how to store and prepare potatoes at home. Several of the programs and activities facilitated by Potatoes USA needed to shift focus from the original plan. We recognized it was important that we provide guidance on many things we often take for granted, such as how to properly store a potato at home, and even how to make a baked potato or mashed potatoes. It was enlightening to discover how basic many of the needs were in the beginning. During the early weeks of the pandemic, our goal was to minimize the potential for unhappy potato experiences and maximize the opportunities for people to successfully enjoy the potatoes they were buying for home consumption as restaurants shut down or altered their formats. We did not want to see unlimited postings of photos of negative potato experiences. Throughout this challenging time, we implemented numerous tactical changes as well as some structural changes at Potatoes USA as we adjusted our short-term focus. Some of our programs with longer ROI potential have been suspended, along with representative adjustments to our staffing needs. Difficult decisions are always part of challenging times. However, I am confident the organization and our programmatic activities are stronger and more relevant today than they were at this time last year. We also made some strategic changes as people distanced themselves from each other and avoided social and business gatherings. We quickly recognized the critical importance of shaping the conversations about potatoes through the increasingly important social media platforms and added a new staff position responsible for this vital effort. This new position will utilize the tools in which we have already invested, as well as new tools to build a broad and dynamic conversation about potatoes in the United States and beyond. It is an exciting opportunity for our industry to take even more control of how consumers view and discuss potatoes for years to come. Likewise, with travel limited by the virus, we chose to move forward with the planned office relocation this year instead of 2 years from now. This will allow us to more efficiently utilize this time when virtual meetings and events have replaced traditional travel requirements. By making this transition now, we will limit the disruption to our workflow, our travel schedules, and interaction with industry and target audiences once conditions improve. As part of the relocation, we will build a new potato culinary education center within the new offices. This educational center will allow Potatoes USA the opportunity to collaborate with restaurants and chefs from around the world and in an innovative environment on a continual basis, both in person and virtually. The Education Center will also provide the opportunity to build even stronger relationships with industry organizations also focused on culinary education by offering the use of the Education Center for training programs and activities. The new offices will have sufficient meeting space to allow for more industry meetings and events to be held on-site in future years as well, which will reduce the cost for meetings and events traditionally held at meeting facilities around the country. Importantly, over the duration of the lease, the industry will save approximately $1.6 million in addition to adding these new opportunities for self-contained meetings, events, and culinary education activities. These offices and the Culinary Education Center should be ready for our move by this coming April. We are excited about the opportunity this will provide Potatoes USA and the entire potato industry. We hope to have you visit the offices and Culinary Education Center if you are in the Denver area. I want to conclude with offering my sincere gratitude for all you do as part of the United States potato industry. I know this has been a turbulent year and undoubtedly a year like no other. However, we have shown how important our industry is to the country and the world. There are many reasons why potatoes are the most favored vegetables in the country. My personal favorite, however, is that people find comfort with potatoes. People like potatoes. It is very difficult to find a better reason to be excited about the future of our industry. I look forward to seeing you in person as soon as this pandemic passes. In the meantime, I wish you all the very best and hope you and your families stay safe.
Thank you again for taking the time to connect with us today to learn what the National Potato Council, Potatoes USA, and Idaho Potato Commission are each doing to strengthen the potato industry by improving both your short-term and long-term economic position, and particularly what the IPC is doing to build your brand, strengthen its equity, and expand its reach across the U.S. and beyond. And of course, demonstrate how the IPC responds to crises such as a worldwide pandemic. First, may I say thank you to our outgoing commissioners, Nick Blanksma, who served as our chairman this past year, Randy Hardy, who served as our chairman the previous year, and Mary Hasnerl. We appreciate all the contributions they've made to our industry, and we know they'll continue to be involved. Also want to recognize our returning commissioners, Todd Cornelison, our chairman for this year, Brett Jensen, our vice chairman, Dan Nakamura, Brian Wada, Julie Van Orden, and Paul Saido. I'd also like now to welcome our new grower commissioners, Mark Darrington from Declo, Ron Ambrose from Wendell, and Eric Jamette from Parma. These gentlemen were all sworn in as new commissioners in our last meeting in October. 2020 has posed many challenges. We've had many mountains to climb. The year began with, first of all, the NASS forecast of acres being significantly higher than the United forecast. We communicated from the outset that the United forecast was much more accurate, and in time, NASS revised their forecast to be closer based on finding some acres have been double counted. And I wish that would have been the end. But the next challenge was we were hit with an incredible cold front with several back-to-back days of frost. And that resulted in the next challenge, and that is, will we have a worldwide French fry famine? And I was even invited to be on the Dr. Oz show to alleviate concerns that we're going to run out of French fries. And of course, I wish that would have been the final challenge. But as everybody knows, we face the next huge challenge worldwide, and that is the COVID-19 pandemic. The impact of the pandemic has been significant. First of all, restaurants, schools, they all closed nationwide. 60% of our volume was immediately put at risk. Growers were right then preparing to plant, and processors then began to cut back contracts in the middle of planting season. The potato industry was seriously facing severe financial harm. On the other hand, retail demand for potatoes was outpacing supply. We were selling 50% more potatoes versus a year ago, back-to-back weeks. We were selling more potatoes during this first few weeks of pandemic than we usually do during the week preceding Thanksgiving. During this time, toilet paper, sanitizer, and potatoes were all out of stock. People were demanding the things that they need most, and it was pretty interesting to find out when a push comes to shove, potatoes are the take-home item for consumers to have at home. Now, during this time, the IPC made several immediate actions. Very important. Sometimes the word pivot is overused in today's world, but it is the perfect word for what we did. The IPC pivoted with our programs to adjust to what was happening. We worked very closely with our shippers here in Idaho, as well as our retail customers. Number one, we began immediately shifting food service cartons to empty retail shelves, creating instant displays. Retailers were not used to bringing big cartons in. We showed them how you could bring a 50-pound carton in, pop off the lid, and have instant displays. We were seeing some instances where consumers were actually taking the whole 50-pound carton and buying the whole thing, taking it home. Then we had to demonstrate how to create large waterfall displays, and these were materials we sent out, printed materials, to help educate them on how to create huge displays of potatoes to manage the huge demand that we were having. But then, as everybody knows, there were some YouTube videos that appeared with people coughing on produce. That raised concern among produce buyers to have produce back in bags. So what did the IPC do? We worked with our bag suppliers, with our shippers, to turn on the generators and produce 1,000-pound jumbo bin promotions. And we sold over 2,000 truckloads of these full-size bins of jumbo potatoes. And why I keep emphasizing jumbo potatoes is these are the food service potatoes. They would have had no home in food service. The IPC worked with our shippers and retailers to move them from food service into retail. And such customers as Costco and Sam's Club, which are typically not buying a lot of Idaho, have become very important customers even now today. On the food service side, it was very critical to work hand-to-hand, face-to-face with our operators and distributors. They were faced with furloughs, they were faced with people being laid off, and restaurants being closed, over 100,000 restaurants being closed. We worked directly, immediately with our operators to try to help them shift to a more delivery takeout mode. Those restaurants who were able to figure it out the quickest are the ones that have survived or have thrived during this pandemic. So we've worked very carefully in educating our operators how to make this conversion and how to use Idaho potatoes in making more economic and easy to use recipes for takeout. We launched several new ads to convey this message about delivery and takeout using Idaho potatoes and to make it very easy for our food service operators to be able to use those. On the consumer side, we launched a very impactful campaign to educate consumers how to store and how to use Idaho potatoes. Just think about it. Everybody was coming home. Kids were now no longer in school. College kids were returning home. All of a sudden, mom and dad have a full household of kids to feed. And so we were educating folks on how to use really easy to use recipes from little children to college-age kids to make Idaho potatoes part of their everyday meals. And I mean every day, all 3 meals. We doubled down on our social media, on our electronic newsletters that we go out, that we typically send out monthly. We were sending out Let's Eat at Home with Idaho potatoes. We were sending that out now weekly. We were accelerating our Tater Talk electronic newsletter. Website, we're educating consumers how to store, how to use. And then, of course, our social media just exploded in terms of communicating to consumers, again, how to store. They're going and buying 10, 20, in some cases 50 pounds of potatoes. We want to help them to understand how to store those potatoes and then how to use them up. We were very effective in doing that. I was involved in many different interviews during this time to really help calm the panic. And then on the government side, we were very, very anxiously involved in this. We worked with the National Potato Council and other states to secure financial support for potato growers. We were going to move the potatoes as best as we could from food service through retail. At the same time, we knew that wouldn't be enough. So we helped our federal government see the importance of including potatoes in the USDA bonus buy programs. We also got potatoes included in the trade mitigation program and also in the farm to family food box program. And then we help potatoes get a more meaningful inclusion in the CFAP program. The result of all this, we're able to achieve $50 million were approved for all the categories of potatoes. We also were able to secure $22 million approved through the trade mitigation program. And then as far as the food box program, we helped get at least one company in Idaho approved for over $1 million to be included in the food box program, and there's been additional successes since that time. On the CFAP program, over $119 million has been committed nationally for potatoes, and you can see the numbers there by each category. We know for Idaho, a specialty crop received about $70 million, and we just recently learned of that $70 million, about $64 million of CFAP 1.0 came to potatoes here in Idaho. And now we're working on CFAP 2.0 still to come. We know it's a much easier program and growers are being able to participate in it much more easily, and there's more funds that will be available because of that. We want to especially recognize our 4 Idaho legislators for the heroic work they did in representing the Idaho potato industry during this crisis. We thank Senators Rush and Crapo and Congressman Simpson and Fulcher, as well as their staffs. Through all of this, we accelerated our communication with the industry to keep you informed of what was going on. We sent out a pulse almost every day, various information we want you to be aware of. But we knew it was critical that you stayed on top of what's happening in the food service side, the retail side, the consumer side, and the government side. We began to issue a weekly industry situation report. It came out every Friday. Then over a few months, then we went to every other week. Most recently, we've gone to monthly. And I hope you've noticed how important it is, the communication that comes from the commission keeps you informed of what's going on and also how you can help us as well. What's the net impact of all this? First of all, by our best estimates, at minimum, the Idaho Potato Commission programs helped move over 37 million pounds of food service potatoes through the retail channel. We also helped calm the panic waters through all the things we were doing on social media, radio interviews, other interviews that we were doing, and so forth. And importantly, we reinforced to consumers the value and essential nature of potatoes to their family meals. Potatoes are nutritious. They're one of the best food values you can get in the store. And the fact is, the whole family, from little children to returning college kids to mom and dad, love the taste of them. And they're versatile. You can eat them for every meal and not repeat the same recipe twice in a year. And most importantly, to the future of what was happening as a result of this pandemic, we helped reduce Idaho stocks dramatically. If you look at this chart, not only did absolute stocks reduce, but also as a percent of production, it's down. And these numbers are as of June, and it's even better now. So what could have been a total disaster is actually we have been able to clean up this crop and able to move it at profitable prices. And in fact, as a result of some of these programs we launched, prices rebounded after the initial shock on the food service loss. Again, 60% of your volume was about to be lost. How do you keep that from being a dramatic decline? We've also seen demand continue to be strong at the retail market, but also recovering more quickly than anybody anticipated at food service. And we're also seeing processors looking for more potatoes for French fries. We are seeing a recovery. And Idaho has clearly been reinforced as the industry leader that can navigate us through any of these types of crises that we are faced. In fact, if you look there to your screen, you'll see 2 ads that we begin to run in our produce magazines, thanking those frontline heroes in the produce industry that have helped keep potatoes on their shelves. So, as a result of this pandemic and other trends that are happening, we're in a new world today. Food service will have to become more flexible with curbside, takeout, drive-through, and we're helping them do so. Consumers may demand more produce in bags. That's something that's very important to the Commission because we love putting that Grown in Idaho seal on those bags. The industry trend in recent years is going to smaller size bags of potatoes. Not anymore. Consumers are buying larger sizes, and partly because they want to go to the store less often. So when they do, they want to buy larger quantities. And we're seeing that trend continue. So more 5 and 10 pound bags need to be faced in the produce section. Consumers have learned to cook at home again. We think that trend will continue. We're also seeing public events, including sports, may have long-term implications. Maybe they won't be going to stadiums anytime soon, eating more at home. Are we prepared for more in-home usage? Retailers are also going to promote more online ordering from customers, which the customers will readily welcome. Then the IPC is going to respond and adjust to these programs to meet these changes, and I'll be sharing some of those examples with you today. Now, before I jump into some of those things, I just want to give you a quick update on the statute changes that we presented last year in the harvest meeting. The IPC, with your industry input, has again sought to move one grower commissioner position from Western Idaho to Eastern Idaho, as well as to propose some updated referendum language. Well, for the second year in a row, this legislation was stopped at the Ag House Committee. So the bottom line is, it is really now up to the industry to try to speak with one voice what the future change might be regarding commission changes, commission positions, or referendum languages. So now, what I'd like to do is shift gears and introduce some of the programs that we did this past year, because with all this terrible challenges we were faced with, we still kept the marketing guns blazing. And here's just a brief highlight reel, we call it scissor reel, to share with some of those things that happened.
This is Jeopardy!
Let's go with ball for 1,200.
A huge potato is lowered to celebrate New Year's in this state capital. Karen.
That's Boise?
Yep.
George, tell us about good old Idaho russet potatoes.
All right. It's a 5-pound bag of healthy Idaho potatoes. Baked, mashed, or fried, always look for the seal to ensure they're genuine Idaho potatoes.
Yeah. Which needs the extra $1? $4.19. Is she right? Yes! Only $2.29 for this whole bag of potatoes.
Could there really be a French fry shortage?
I hope not.
Well, we were sent this video from on the ground in Idaho just to give you an idea of how this all started. Take a look.
Any of the spots that aren't dug today will probably not be harvested at all.
Well, let's get the fry facts out before we stress out over this. Joining us now with the answers is the president of the Idaho Potato Commission, Frank Muir. He won't mind me telling you that he has eyes everywhere. You see what I'm doing there, Frank?
Everyone knows that Idaho is the #1 producer of potatoes in America. In early October, we got hit with 3 days of really intense frost. Fortunately, our farmers worked overtime. As you saw from the video, they worked together. They worked through the night to get as much of our harvest into storage as possible. We were able to secure 85%, roughly 85% of our harvest into our storage sheds. It represents about 13 billion pounds of these potatoes.
Well, you have given me hope. I feel much better about our French fry shortage. Thank you very much, Frank. Good luck to you.
So Cranny Farms in Oakley, Idaho, decided to give away their unsold crop of over 2 million potatoes, 2 million, to anyone who wanted them. And joining us is Ryan. You know, we see the stories on the news of so many farmers faced with the abundance of crop. So how did this impact you, and how did you come to make this decision to give them away?
As food service is shut down across the United States, we've seen that demand pretty much dry up and go away.
I'm from the Garden State, and we grow a lot of things in New Jersey. But the one thing we love in the Garden State that's not grown in New Jersey is an Idaho potato.
That was when I ruled the world.
We're hanging now with our favorite Idaho potatoes. Buddy Buddy. What's up, Buddy Buddy? Hey man, let's high five.
But one of my coworkers told me that if you cut a raw potato and put it on the pimple with a Band-Aid over it while you sleep, when you wake up in the morning, it'll be gone. So we're gonna try that. Okay guys, so it's the next morning. Let's take this off. Did anyone else know about this trick that I've been doing my whole life?
In behalf of Idaho Grower Shipper Association, we're donating, Buddy Buddy, give you an announcement, 40,000 pounds of Idaho's famous potatoes. That's enough potatoes to fill that Trinity trailer right there.
But Idaho potatoes are a worldwide brand that could have an impression on everyone, even mega celebrities like Kobe Bryant.
I did a commercial for the Idaho Potato Commission, and it was a commercial about the potato truck getting lost, and he'd always come up to me and tease me and say, "Did you find the truck yet?"
I used that story in our commission meeting to explain the value of keeping the truck on the road. Kobe was celebrated as a hero in keeping the truck. That'll always be one of my favorite memories about the Big Idaho Potato Truck.
The Chuckers will be going by their original name, the Idaho Falls Russets. They will be wearing jerseys in the style of those worn by the original team from 1939.
Idaho russet potatoes. Look for the Grown in Idaho symbol. IdahoPotato.com, great recipes.
The spuds are special too.
Typical of an Idaho potato. We fry it to get the crispiness on the outside because you want that crunch.
Jersey Devil fries. Now tell me about the French fries.
Idaho potato.
Start off with some Idaho potatoes.
Idaho potato.
Beautiful.
I'd like to introduce you to Candace.
Hey.
What is the first step to make this
Let me tell you the
potato?
first step, okay? We have to start with a big 40-pounder. Look at her. She's just an Idaho potato. You love Idaho. We all love Idaho. Go on, eat that baked potato.
Petrino keeps it. Mason with a lane. Mason, Petrino, touchdown!
Off the back foot, a rifle shot to the end zone for the touchdown. Hightower from 26 yards out. How about one more? George Halani to the end zone. Yes, sir.
Here to show us how to create a tasty mashed potato using a secret ingredient is Idaho Potato Commission President and CEO Frank Muir.
Try to cut them into about 1-inch cubes, okay? Fill up your pot up to just a hand level above the highest potato, and you want to start with cool water.
So you got the perfect texture, you're gonna mash, but you have a special ingredient too.
Yes.
In addition to all these amazing tips that makes the perfect mashed potato.
Chobani's plain yogurt.
Yogurt?
Greek yogurt.
No way.
And what that's going to do is give you a little bit of extra tang.
And then
you get,
diving in.
You get to taste it and tell us what you think.
You know what I think, Frank? I think it's the perfect mashed potato.
Now I'd like to share some of the exciting marketing programs we have for the 2021 crop year. Of course, at the very foundation of all of our marketing programs is our TV advertising. And this year is no different. In fact, we have produced a new commercial called Side Dish that focuses on appetite appeal. It really demonstrates that Idaho potatoes is much more than a side dish. And if there is ever a time we need comfort food, it's right now. And here's the commercial.
Hello, I'm an Idaho potato farmer. You know, a lot of folks think of a potato, even an Idaho potato, as a side dish. But does this look like a side dish to you? Or this? Or these? Does a side dish have a dog like this? Or a truck like this? Or a good-looking, charismatic spokes farmer like me? I think we both know the answer to that. Always look for the grown in Idaho seal. Side dish.
Now, to help us in media planning and be able to be more efficient in how we buy advertising on different channels, we've also created a 15-second and a 10-second version. Here is the 15-second version of the same spot.
If these beautiful Idaho potato recipes are just side dishes, then I'm not a real Idaho potato farmer. Genuine Idaho potatoes, not just a side dish anymore. Always look for the grown in Idaho seal.
And finally, now here's the 10-second version.
Genuine Idaho potatoes, not just a side dish anymore. Always look for the grown in Idaho seal.
Now, this ad, Side Dish, actually did run just briefly last year at the tail end of our campaign, but it was noticed and it was applauded. An independent source was quoted as saying this: Idaho potatoes are among brands whose product-focused ads are resonating with consumers. Idaho potatoes Side Dish ad scored the highest on product-related metrics out of the top 10 ads, which included M&Ms, by the way, and uses food close-ups to showcase how potatoes can be a main entree, an effective way to emotionally connect with consumers right now. Now, I use that expression all the time. My objective always with advertising is to emotionally connect with my target audience. So to have an independent reviewer see that in our commercials is music to my ears. So here's when our campaign is going to begin airing. You'll see there's a little gap at the beginning. Well, that's because there's a national political campaign, an election going on that will finish up right before our national advertising campaign will begin. You'll see we'll have 7 weeks, the red lines. Those are the 7 national weeks we'll be airing. Usually at this time, I also show you what the Lamb Weston Grown in Idaho Frozen advertising campaign will be and how it overlaps with ours. They're still working on their plan. They actually have been impacted by the pandemic in that their volume, the demand for their volume has been very strong. And they're trying to evaluate their supply versus demand. So once we have their ad campaign, we'll again line it up with ours. Here's the programming that we're going to be buying advertising on. Our network buys, our syndicated buys, and also on streaming, such as Hulu and Sling. But as I indicated earlier, there's new changes taking place that have been accelerated because of the pandemic. So new this year, we're now going to be advertising and promoting on digital formats. First of all, we're going to be advertising on allrecipes.com. It's the #1 recipe site with over 29 million views per month with just women 25 to 45, which is a sweet spot of our target audience. We're also going to be advertising on online grocery shopping. We're going to be testing advertising on Walmart and Kroger's online shopping so that when consumers, which they've gone from single digit to 30% consumers are now online ordering and then driving in and having their trunk popped open and the groceries dropped in the back, 30% of Americans are doing that now. We want to make sure when they're online and they're thinking about potatoes, they see Idaho potatoes and they select Idaho, no substitution. Now, college football. A month ago, nobody really knew, is college football going to happen? Is the NFL going to be happening? But particularly concerns about college football. Many of the conferences had canceled their schedule for the fall program. But as we all know, it's on. The 2 major conferences that participate in our bowl game, the Mountain West Conference and the Mid-American Conference, are playing again. But importantly, a game just took place last week, which was our sponsored game, brought to you by Famous Idaho Potatoes, was the much anticipated national broadcast of the Boise State versus BYU. BYU came in nationally ranked, highly anticipated. Millions of people watched this game. And what did they see during that game? They were not disappointed. They saw a lot of Idaho potato messaging. This is what they're seeing every time a camera is panning anywhere in Albertson Stadium. And I've always say, isn't it great that the Idaho Potato Bowl game is played in a grocery store? And isn't it great that we have Idaho Potato logos everywhere the cameras look, when it's ESPN or Fox Sports 1, as Boise State is now tied in with. The bowl game. What's going to happen with the bowl game? Well, this much I can tell you. Again, 2 months ago, I would have told you we have no clue. Things have changed. With the 2 conferences now playing both, having games, we are now in negotiations with both conferences on how the bowl game will look. I've already completed negotiations with ESPN on what our reduced cost sponsorship will be if this bowl game takes place. I am more and more confident that we're going to see the famous Idaho Potato Bowl logo in midfield on the blue turf again this season. And don't we all want to see French fries dumped on the winning coach again? What an incredible image that was. And it was picked up not only during that game, but SportsCenter broadcasters brought it up and replayed it multiple times after the game. And just to remind you of how fun that game was, here's a short video to show you some of the highlights. And pay particular attention toward the end, because these are clips that were picked up after the bowl game.
I'm really excited to announce the 23rd Famous Idaho Potato Bowl, which will feature the University of Nevada and Ohio University.
not want to miss it. That's coming up. Yeah, that's right. There you go.
You're watching the famous Idaho Potato Bowl. And here in Boise, they ring in the new year celebrating the region's rich history with the famous Idaho Potato Bowl. The blue turf in Boise, one of the most unique venues in all of college football. Nevada will receive to start the game. And here we go, the famous Idaho Potato game is underway. Big hole off the left side and some room for Allison to run for the first down. Rourke on 3rd and 6 connects another first down. Option pitch again. Ross down the sideline. Touchdown. Rourke keeps it on this play. Rourke has the touchdown. And it's good. And that sends us to the break.
The famous Idaho Potato Bowl. Brought to you by Famous Idaho Potatoes.
The Idaho Potato Commission is presenting Prod with a check for $25,000.
Welcome back to the famous Idaho Potato Bowl. Here's our Spud facts for the game. The Bobcats at midfield, and Tuggle has a big hole. And he's down to near the 20. Tuggle takes the option pitch and gets to the corner and scores. Strong lets that go left corner, and it is caught for the touchdown. Nicely done. He tried to flip it over on a reverse. The ball pops free, and the Bobcats have it. And the famous Idaho Potato Bowl championship will go to the Ohio University Bobcats. And they are dumping French fries. Why not? On Coach Solich.
Look at the potato mascot who is just loving their role and loving up on the Bobcats. Spud Love.
Presenting tonight's most valuable player for the Idaho Potato Commission is President and CEO Frank Muir. Tonight's most valuable player goes to Nathan Rourke.
I'm so proud to be a part of 3 consecutive bowl victories, and that's what I'm most proud of.
Coach, you smell like French fries a little bit. How was the French fry bath?
Well, it was a lot easier than the water bath.
Every coach in America will want to have Idaho French fries dumped on them from now on out.
An Ohio coach Frank Solich gets a fry shower after the game. Yes.
With some nice warm French fries to eat on the way to the victory stand, that's the way to celebrate.
Now I'd like to give you a brief update on the Big Idaho Potato Truck Tour. Last year's tour had begun in March. The truck was actually in Florida for a big event that was taking place there when this pandemic became more accelerated across America. We made the quick decision, the wise decision to bring the truck home, and it has been home during this past several months. For as far as plans for this year, which will be our 10th anniversary, I can tell you this. We are planning as if the truck will be back on the road this coming March. We already have venues already presenting to us their how to go to market safely with the pandemic by bringing the truck there. If those plans make sense to us, we will put the truck back on the road. If we have discomfort, we'll hold the truck and hold for another time. But I can tell you this, everybody across America wants to see the Big Idaho Potato Truck. We're hoping we can roll it again. Now, every year we introduce a lot of new public relations programs. These are programs we spend just a little bit of money on, but leverage it to have a big impact. And we have some exciting new ones to share with you this year as well. One of the public relations programs we successfully implemented last year was a partnership with Taysom Hill. We did some social media contests with autographed footballs and jerseys, and we had a lot of fun with that. Taysom just recently signed a 2-year, $22 million contract with the New Orleans Saints. He's becoming obviously very popular. We're in the process of seeking to finalize an appropriate partnership moving forward. What we're trying to change him from being known as the Swiss Army knife was being known that Taysom Hill is as versatile as an Idaho potato. And we're having some fun developing some videos that we put on social media to demonstrate how that is true. Now, we've spent a lot of time fighting low-carb diets. Well, it's time now to leverage low-carb diets and stop fighting them. We've actually identified how Idaho potatoes can be used with all of these different diets, such as paleo, Weight Watchers, and the list you can see. We have gone through our thousands of recipes, and we've identified with using a nutritionist on what recipes fit each diet. And so we're going to distribute this information to both consumers and to food nutrition reporters, and then highlight a monthly recipe on how this all works. But it makes it very easy for people to now start including Idaho potatoes in any diet that they're using. And speaking of recipes, on a quarterly basis, we're going to be sending out some very incredible recipes to all of the food media in America. They love any new recipe the IPC releases, and we expect to continue to get good pickup from this. Also, we're working with a very popular food journalist, cookbook author, and blogger, Katie Workman, to create a meal prep playbook that uses a 10-pound bag of Idaho potatoes. This is going to be a really fun cookbook and one that will obviously move a lot of potatoes. Next, we're having a lot of fun being part of pop culture. I have said that before. Idaho's part of pop culture now, Idaho potatoes. Well, what we've identified is there's in a lot of these large magazines, large circulation magazines, there's what's called a what's trending or a hottest page. And this past year, we actually participated in some of these. Again, very economic to be able to do this. But if you look at the top right-hand corner, and this was a very anticipated Us magazine that came out, it's Idaho potatoes are back, is what it screams. And it shows a very cool recipe, easy to make recipe as one of the hottest trends. And we're going to continue to leverage these trends. Idaho potatoes continue to be one of the hottest trends for some time in the future. We're also working with Christy Carlson Romano. She's the voice behind popular Disney show Kim Possible. She's also starred in Princess Diaries 2, and Even Stevens. She's going to create a delicious Idaho potato recipe that'll air on Christy's YouTube cooking channel. Her YouTube channel has over 188,000 subscribers. Her most popular video has reached over 1.8 million views. Then Feed. Feed is probably the most popular Instagram food program that people can go on. It's very colorful. It's just appetite appealing. And we're going to be doing some very creative promotion giveaway on Feed. And we know 1.7 million followers are really going to jump on this. Spotlight On. Idaho potatoes are going to be featured on PBS's educational series, Spotlight On. We're going to have a 2-minute vignette that's going to give an in-depth look about Idaho potatoes from farm to fork and everything in between. And we expect to generate between 3 to 5 million national impressions viewing this. I mentioned already, Idaho potatoes have become part of pop culture. Whether that means a potato that's dropping in front of Boise State Capitol and then appears as the answer to a game show on America's most popular game show, or you stay in a nearly all year long sold out Idaho potato near Boise, or you see a Rod's jersey featuring fueled by Idaho potatoes in races across America, or on our potato bags featuring the iconic American Heart Association. There's nothing more American than the heart check mark. These are all the different ways in which Idaho potatoes has become part of American pop culture and just a part of everyday living in America. We're making huge splashes in social media. We continue to expand our followers. Instagram, IPC followers are up 35%. Twitter, we're up 7%. Facebook, up 5%. All total, we already have over 100,000 people following us. This past year, we did some revamping on our YouTube and Pinterest, and we organized our videos, recipes, and pin boards to make it easier to access. This year, we're actually doing some ads on these programs, particularly on Facebook and Instagram. Just during June through September, we did just a little bit of boosting, and it generated over 500,000 impressions. Now, over 2 million people are on social media every day. We're finding that they love to see videos, they love to watch videos. So we're working with Dishworks to create more videos, more GIFs, to engage in people, and because we know that they enjoy Idaho potato videos. And we have some pretty impressive ones, and some that have over 12 million views, and we expect to have some even more exciting ones coming in the near future. And you may not know this, but there are all sorts of potato holidays. Here's just some of the ways in which we leverage these holidays. And in fact, the Idaho Potato Commission was instrumental in getting National Mashed Idaho Potato Day named. It happens to be the same day as Thanksgiving. That's the #1 use of mashed potatoes is on Thanksgiving. It's now a national holiday named National Mashed Idaho Potato Day. But we're leveraging all of the other potato holidays. And so you'll see IPC almost every week on social media celebrating a potato day. We'll also continue to promote in social media all the different things that we're doing from a marketing standpoint. I won't go through the list. You can see it on your screen. But it includes things like Thank a Farmer, where we're featuring our farmers regularly, and people love to see the stories behind each of the family farms and your history and what's going on. But there's all sorts of other things we're promoting, and we'll continue to do this going into the new year. The IPC website, which is idahopotato.com, has continued to see growth. This past year, we had 1.3 million visitors. That's a 26% growth over a year ago. Our page views are at nearly 2.2 million, and we've had a 29% increase in new users since last year. Our sessions has also increased 26%. That means they're staying on our website longer than last year. We got more people coming, more new users, they're staying longer, and organic search is 79% of all of our traffic, which means when it comes to potatoes, the #1 website folks are coming to is idahopotato.com. And on there, Dr. Potato still continues to be our most popular feature, consisting of 19 out of the top 25 pages of people coming to see what is Dr. Potato's latest answer of potato questions that people have. Also, just a few more highlights regarding the website. On our website store, which you can go on, in fact, the industry gets discounts, industry discounts. Go to our industry section, you'll see more details about that. Last year alone, we sold over $13,000 worth of IPC merchandise via our website. When you include those that come to our office and buy merchandise there, it's over $25,000. Think about that. Folks are spending $25,000 to wear Grown in Idaho merchandise. I mean, that's like Harley Davidson kind of branding now we're talking. We've also added very popular retail and food service one-pagers you see in the top right hand of your screen. These are very good information on a lot of different subjects. People love just to go to get one page of all their answers, and that's what we provide. We also do Google AdWord campaigns, meaning we'll boost a little money, put a little money behind that when certain words come up like mashed potatoes or potato salad, idahopotato.com comes up first. Also last year, we added a Spuddy Buddy chat box. We wanted people when they come to our website to be able to engage. And we thought there's no better person than what ESPN calls Football Bowl's best mascot, Spuddy Buddy. Spuddy Buddy's already answered 9,000 questions on our website. New for next year, it's time for a refresh. Every few years, we want to refresh our website, brighter colors, just make it easier to use, particularly on your mobile devices. We're also adding Around the World in 80 Potatoes. We'll have featured recipes with using regional seasonings and flavors that you go to your country of choice, and you can find how you can use an Idaho potato in an Indian dish, in a Russian dish, wherever you want to go. The bloggers are what they love to be called as influencers. We are very engaged with influencers. This past year, we created 62 new recipes, working with 14 different bloggers. We were focusing on current trends and as well as adapting to COVID-19, what was happening. So basic recipes to make at home, the ones that the kids or college kids could participate in. Also batch cooking. Mom doesn't have a lot of time to cook, so she got to cook a lot when she does it, and then how to store it. Then of course the popular Instant Pots and air fryers. We've been using those quite a while in educating consumers how to use those to make Idaho potato recipes. We also have partnered with our retail and food service folks who have worked with other brands such as Hormel, Fresh Gourmet, and Lighthouse to leverage what they're doing with our bloggers too. So it's leveraging across everything that we're doing. And our electronic newsletters, our Tater Talk, Let's Eat with Idaho Potatoes. We are now at 85,000 people that are regular subscribers to our electronic newsletters. That's up 10,000 viewers, subscribers since the last time I shared this information with you, and it continues to climb. Now, for the last few minutes, I want to just share a few highlights of our retail, food service, and international program. On the retail side, I've already shared with you some of the things we did to adjust to this pandemic. The retail folks were very quick. I mean, they pivoted immediately to get out these one-pager communications to our retail buyers, working through our Idaho potato shippers, to how to put these cartons, 50-pound cartons on the shelf, and then how to do the waterfalling displays. But then when it became clear that we couldn't ship everything in cartons because the bags were starting to back up, we still had all these large-sized potatoes. And folks wanted to see more produce in bags, not in loose pack. And so we, again, pivoted and introduced the Jumbo Bin promotion. We sold over 800,000 cartons were moved from food service to retail through this effort that absolutely could have destroyed the industry had we not moved these. You can see what happened. Prices were very strong before the pandemic. They immediately nosedived because of the food service loss, and then we were able to stabilize it and actually see them begin to climb again. One of the things the Commission has been really focused on the past several years is data. We want to be the category expert. We want to be the ones that retailers, food service operators call when they have questions about the category. We have bought more and more data. We analyze the data. And during this pandemic, the Idaho Potato Commission has become even more valuable to the retail industry than ever before. We've gone in and educated them on what's happening during the pandemic. This 50% double-digit increases in purchasing is not going away. It's going to continue to be strong. So if you think you're going to go buy your Thanksgiving orders based on last year, you're going to be way under buying. We're showing them the data. We're preparing them for what they need to buy. We've done many presentations already this past year, and many of them have been done via Zoom. They value our 3 field directors who are very involved in making these presentations. For next year, or the year we're in right now, we have a toolkit full of emergency programs, if you will, like the bin promotion. When we see a need to change a program, to add a program, we will do it. We will pivot on a moment's notice as the industry sees a need, and we have proven that year after year, and no better year than this past year. We also continue to be successful with our nearly 5,000 displays every year Potato Lovers Month contest. A very unique ad campaign has now been created this year to build upon our message that Idaho Potato Commission is going to educate you on looking more closely at your data to really understand what your category needs are. And the idea here is you see these ads, which are going to definitely stop you when you open up a produce newspaper and you see there's a chameleon there, and then as you look closer, you realize, no, that's 2 human beings. Well, the copy makes it really clear that just like a photo, you have to look more closely to see the truth. So it is with the potato category. You have to look closer at the data to know the truth. And that's where the Idaho Potato Commission comes in. Now I'd like to share just a few highlights about our food service program. And no program in the IPC has had to pivot more than food service. What we're focused on right now is delivery and takeout. Here's just an example of our website banner that takes you immediately to more information on how to improve your delivery and takeout efforts. Here's some examples of ads that we're running. And what you do is you click on the right here button, and it'll take you to a variety of simple economic recipes that an operator can now incorporate into their menu planning and expand their quick service drive-through menu offerings. Again, here's some digital banner ads. In all of the magazines that we're doing print advertising, we're also doing digital advertising. So they'll see these beautiful ads in Plate and other magazines, but then they'll also, on their website, see these digital ads that they, again, click on and will take them to our website with additional information to help them. Here's just one more example of a wide variety of digital ads and messagings that we're doing. One thing that we've added this year that we've not done before on food service is we now have a food service electronic newsletter. We already have now 5,000 folks, food service operators, distributors, that we're sending our e-blast to. We're doing also a contest to drive more operators and distributors to our website to participate in the contest, and then we collect their email address as well and add them. Our first email blast went out in late July, and we'll continue to do this as the months roll on. Leveraging the partnerships that we have built on the retail side, food service now has a partnership with Lighthouse, another Idaho brand, on the food service side. We're doing a joint promotion with Lighthouse, with distributors, which is all about selling more than you sold last year. We're working together to do that and also to have joint recipes with them. And this is starting up real soon. One of the things that's fun to say now is that Idaho potatoes is the number 2 red potato in America. Maybe someday we'll be number 1, who knows? But we've added a new program this year to leverage that position as a number 2 red potato by taking advantage of the crawfish season down in southeastern U.S. So this flyer is coming out. We're going to take advantage of this. We hope to sell a lot of delicious Idaho potatoes tied to crawfish. Now, education. We do a lot of seminars, a lot of education. Our 3 food service directors do an outstanding job educating operators, distributors, how to handle, how to store, how to menu Idaho potatoes. Here's another example with things changing again because of the pandemic. We're trying to help them to understand how to handle potatoes so that they don't lose them, they don't rot, because they may not get in orders as often as a result of the pandemic. Just the way all the things are going, we're trying to help them to prepare for the unexpected. We've also developed something very, very interesting and unique. This is a food service recipe cost calculator. It's helping them identify a menu item by putting their ingredients in, what their costs are, and then calculate by putting their menu costs at the top, what their gross margin, what their gross profit is on that menu item. And the folks we've tested this with have found it to be very helpful, very interesting. And of course, no surprise, the more Idaho potatoes you use, the higher your profitability on that menu item is. And that's one of the key messages we've been sending during this pandemic when they're looking for every way to increase and improve margin they can. Finally, we're always creating new videos, again, to help educate, to help entertain, but also to reinforce, always source Idaho potatoes on your menus. Here's a new video we've created regarding making perfect Idaho French fries. One of the programs that's always been very important to the Idaho Potato Commission is menu listings. Menu listings is where we have the Grown in Idaho logo on the menu. This has been very important over the history of the commission, and it's particularly been always on printed menus. Well, again, the pandemic has changed that too. So a lot of restaurants have moved to digital menus. You go in, put your cell phone up to a code, and it puts your menu right there in your phone. So what we've done is we've pivoted. We're now working with restaurants to also pay for menu listings that are on their digital menus. Here's just one example of a restaurant, a 60 chain restaurant in Pennsylvania that now is carrying the Grown in Idaho seal on 2 of their menu listings. Now, as I close the food service section, let me just give you a sneak preview of some of the beautiful ads that we're going to be running print this year. And we're also showing how these beautiful recipes, and they're all made by chefs that are out there that always are fighting to be included in our annual calendar. We're also showing how these recipes can be used for drive-through, takeout, and pickup. So a lot of creativity with these ads. To close, I want to share a few highlights about our international program. We're shipping fresh Idaho potatoes to over 20 countries. I want to just share a few highlights about just two of the areas we're focused on. First of all, Asia. We again had to pivot in Asia, moving away from what we were planning to do in-store promotion to online promotion. We created an online video contest where consumers were invited to make Idaho potato recipes, take a video of it, and send it in. And as a result, we had a well-known chef judge the winner. Everybody who submitted videos received a beautiful swag bag of Idaho potato merchandise. And as a result, we also learned just how folks in Malaysia and Singapore are using Idaho potatoes. And as a result of that, our chef, Chef Hassan, who actually was our judge, also created 8 new recipes to help consumers cook at home. So we were leveraging one program off the other. And why are we focusing on Southeast Asia? Well, there is a lot of growth happening here, as you can see by the GDP forecast. Our focus continues to be in Malaysia and Singapore, and we're also this coming year are refocusing our attention on Taiwan. We see huge opportunities there, and we will continue to expand, and we'll expand in other markets as it makes sense to us. Now let me just talk about Latin America. And in this case, we're selling to a lot of Latin America countries, but I just want to focus on Mexico, because that's where the primary part of our budget goes is in Mexico. This past year, and really being driven by the pandemic, just like happened in the U.S., our volume on fresh potatoes jumped 140%. It jumped 76% in dehydrated potatoes. We saw a lot of increased interest in potatoes, just like we saw in the U.S. We also did an at-home recipe campaign using an Idaho QR code, so folks could use their smartphone and pick up a bunch of recipes that they could take home with them. We also partnered with Calamex, which has 98 stores. It's the largest chain right there in the 26-kilometer area that we can ship to. And they did actually a feature, Idaho potatoes, and you see some of the other folks that also did videos with Calamex. We're in pretty good company. We also are expanding our market share in Mexico by increasing the number of importer partnerships that we have there now. In Mexico, we're also doing food service promotions, not just retail, but food service as well. We've worked with 3 new chefs in developing partnerships. We've developed 18 new recipes. And as a result, we've increased engagement with Idaho potatoes with consumers as a result of this, not only through the operators and distributors, but directly through consumers. And then just to finally look at what's in the future, we are going to continue to focus our partnerships with importers in these countries where we have developed a strong market position. We're also increasing our marketing programs to engage with consumers who have a passion for Idaho potatoes. As I've said many, many times, I've traveled worldwide, 30 countries, and as soon as I say Idaho, they always say potato, and they always say it with a smile. We are leveraging that in so many ways. We're also helping to expand Idaho dehydrated potato products in the UK. We are actually in the process of seeking another federal grant to help fund trial sampling costs of dehydrated potato products to help folks in the UK see just how good they really are and how convenient they are. So these are just a few examples of what we're doing outside of Latin America and outside of Southeast Asia. We'll continue to expand our Potato Lovers Month in Mexico, and as I mentioned earlier, we're going to expand our programs in Taiwan. We again expect to see Idaho potatoes continue to grow and expand worldwide. So as we come to the conclusion of our big Idaho potato harvest meeting, I want to say thank you. Thank you for your participation. Thank you for your support. And I am sure you have many questions, and we welcome those questions. You have our phone number. You have our email address. please call us, please email us, and we'll get back to you with answers and with responses. Again, we wish you all the best with this new crop that you are harvesting. It looks like a beautiful, beautiful crop. We look forward to visiting with you again soon. Thank you. Have a great day.